Hello, my people. Good day to you, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whatever time zone you're listening to this, I appreciate your attention. I'm not taking it for granted. Thank you for sharing all this with people that matters to you too. Thank you for making this podcast reach wider audience. I appreciate you. My name is Michael Ojola for Mindset Transformation Africa. And on today's episode, I want to talk about friendship. All right. I want to talk about friendship. Let me anchor today's episode on this statement. The measuring stick of a friendship is how much truth it can handle without taking offense or harboring resentment. The measuring stick of a friendship is how much truth it can handle without taking offense or harboring resentment. Friendships are supposed to be this safe havens, these places where we can be ourselves, vulnerable, honest, and unafraid. But have you ever found yourself holding back the truth, afraid that if you say what's really on your mind, the friendship might shatter? Have you ever hesitated to confront something because you fear it might lead to offense, misunderstanding, or even resentment? Yeah, that's why I said, okay, let's discuss this a little bit, because I know this conversation might get uncomfortable, and that is exactly how we grow. We grow outside our comfort zone. So let's start with the basics. Why does truth matter in friendships? Why can't we just skate by with surface level niceties, casual conversations and compliments? Wouldn't that be easier? Well, sure, it would be easier, but it would not be real. See, at the core of friendship, it's supposed to be built on trust. And you can't have trust without truth. That is non-negotiable. Without truth, you are building a relationship on quicksand. The moment something real happens, something that requires honesty and vulnerability, everything crumbles. Why? Because there was never a solid foundation to begin with. Think about it. Can you really call someone your friend if you cannot tell them the truth? Or if they cannot tell you the truth without fear of retaliation or resentment? And I don't mean just the convenient truth, the compliments, the affirmations, the you are beautiful, you're intelligent kind of stuff. No. I'm not talking about the pats on the backs and all that. No, I'm talking about the hard truths, the brutal honesties, all right? The ones that are uncomfortable, the ones that stings, the truths that expose your blind spots, your weaknesses, your mistakes. Because here's the thing, all right? A real friend will not just tell you what you want to hear, all right? A real friend will tell you what you need to hear, and that is not always easy. Why is it that we take offense so easily when someone speaks truth to us? What is it about hearing something uncomfortable that triggers this defensive mechanism in us? Well, let's be honest. The truth can be a mirror, all right? And sometimes we don't like what we see when we look at ourselves in the mirror. We don't like what we see in that reflection. When a friend points out a flaw, a mistake, or an area where we've fallen short, it can feel like an attack, especially on who we are. It can feel personal, all right? Even when it's coming from a place of love and respect. In those moments, our ego steps in, making us feel like we need to defend ourselves, even when deep down we know what they are saying is right. We know what they are saying is true. Here's where we go wrong. Instead of seeing the truth as an opportunity for growth, we see it as a threat. All right? We let our pride get in the way. And then what happens? We take offense. We might say, how dare they point that out? How dare they talk to me like that? They don't even understand what I'm going through. They don't get it. They don't understand. Or worse, we start harboring resentment, replaying the conversation in our minds and letting it fester. But what if we can't handle the truth from our closest friends? Then what are we really doing with each other? Are we truly developing relationships that challenge us to be better? Or are we surrounding ourselves with sycophants, with people who just make us comfortable? I want to get into something real here, all right? The fragility of surface level relationships. You know the type. These are the friendships where you never go deep, where you stay on the surface, where you don't rock the boat. You laugh together, you share stories, you might even hang out regularly, because on the outside, you want everything to look great. Everything seems great on the outside. But the moment things get tough, the moment a hard truth needs to be spoken, everything falls apart. Why is that? It's because these friendships were never based on anything solid. They were based on convenience. They were based on comfort, on mutual agreement to avoid anything that might challenge the status quo. And while that might feel good in the short term, it doesn't serve you in the long run at all. On the surface level friendships, this type of friendship, people avoid truth because they are afraid of offending each other. They are afraid that the slightest discomfort will cause a rift, that saying what needs to be said will lead to conflict. And because of that fear, they sacrifice honesty on the altar of harmony. But is that real harmony? No, it's just mere avoidance. A friendship that cannot withstand truth is a fragile friendship. It's a relationship built on pretense, on masks, on playing roles rather than being authentic. And eventually, something will break. It always does. Either you will grow resentful of the other person for not being real with you, or they will grow resentful of you for you not being real with them. See, there are constructive conflicts, all right? What happens when you do speak the truth and the friendship does not fall apart? What happens when, instead of taking offense, your friend listens to you, reflects on what you said, and grows? That is when you know you found something and someone real. That is when you know you found a relationship that can withstand the storms. See, real friendships, let me say this, they are not afraid of conflict, all right? In fact, they embrace it, they love it. I'm not talking about unnecessary drama. No, I'm not talking about unnecessary argument for the sake of argument. No, I'm talking about constructive conflict. The kind that arises when two people care enough about each other to say the hard things, to hold each other accountable, to challenge each other to be better. Constructive conflict is powerful because it leads to growth. It sharpens you. It refines you. It pushes you out of your comfort zone and forces you to confront things about yourself that you might otherwise ignore. And the beauty of it is, it deepens the bond between you and your friend, because now you know that you can trust each other to be real. You don't have to walk on eggshells. You don't have to pretend. That is where real freedom in friendship lies. The freedom to be fully yourself, knowing that your friend will love you, will respect you enough to tell you the truth, even when it hurts. See, there are resentments that build over time from fake friendship, from fragile friendship. Something that is worse than outright argument is silent resentment. Is the grudge that you hold but never talk about. Is the bitterness that creeps in when you feel like your friend has wronged you, but you are too afraid or too prideful to confront them about it. So instead, you just let it simmer. You smile, you nod, you carry on as if everything is fine. But underneath, there is a wall building up between you. Resentment is a silent killer in friendships. Believe me, I know. It poisons the relationship slowly over time until one day there is nothing left but bitterness and distance. Oh, believe me, I know. And the crazy part, most of the time, resentment grows from something that could have been resolved with a single and honest conversation. But because we avoid conflict, because we fear the truth, we let it fester instead. And here's the thing. Resentment does not just affect the person that feels it, it changes the entire dynamic of the friendship. You start seeing everything about your friend, everything your friend does through the lens of that particular issue that is unresolved. Even the smallest actions becomes a suspect. You start interpreting their words and behaviors in ways that fit your narrative of being wrong. It becomes a cycle that is hard to eventually break. But it doesn't have to be that way, all right? Resentment can be dissolved with truth. It can be undone with honesty, with vulnerability, with a willingness to sit down and say, this is how I'm feeling, let's talk about it. And in that moment, you have a choice to either let resentment keep building in you or to break the cycle and move towards healing. Today, I want you to go and have this at the back of your mind. Let truth be an act of love in your relationship, in your friendship. Let truth, hard truth, we call some bitter truth, brutal honesty, let it be the bedrock that you build your friendships on. Not psychophancies, not fakery. Truth, hard truth, but building and growing truth. Thank you, and I'll talk to you.